in fact, of the Sounds of Stadia podcast. I'm joined by my usual co-hosts in the cubes. To my left, your right, my right, your left, we've got the return of Mr. Tom himself.
I'm back.
He is back, baby.
I said I'll be back. I am now back.
He's
I'm
true
not quite
to his word.
the embodiment of Arnie, but hey, you know, a man can dream, right?
He's getting on a bit now, is Mr. Schwarzenegger.
He is.
He's still hella jack compared to what we're going to be at that age. I can assure that. He's just running around the house.
Did you accidentally suggest that Tom's getting on a bit?
I mean, we all are every second. By the time this podcast's over, Richie, our other co-host, by the way, say hello.
Yeah, hello.
We'll all have aged about an hour or so just in this short space of time, and that's like.
By you hear this, we've aged an entire day.
Yeah, and those of you listening out there, you too have aged by exact 1 minute and 2 seconds at this stage.
It's getting all too real.
It's getting all too real. Hold on. Hold on to something.
It's all too real.
Yes, bring Meg back in the time beforehand. But yes, massive shout out to Meg as well. Thank you very much for stepping in Tom's absence last week and making a fantastic show alongside us. We really do appreciate it, and the audience seemed to really appreciate it too. And congratulations on 1,000 subs as well. It's a big milestone for anyone who's a content creator, and big congratulations from all of us here at Sounds of Stadia. It's well deserved. Speaking of subscribers, actually, if you're new to the show, hello, welcome again. This is the Sounds of Stadia podcast. Myself, Tom, and Richie bring you a weekly podcast roundup of all the week's gaming news. And we've got some exciting stuff this week, but off the back of subs, don't forget to like the video and give it a subscribe, because we are ourselves on the cusp, the titular edge. It's balancing on a knife, gentlemen. We're on what, 494.
500 before you even listen to this.
That's the plan. But if not, do us a favour, head down there, click subscribe. We'd massively appreciate it. And another thing, while we're here, Twitter. Go show some Twitter some love, because for some reason, all of you lovely YouTube followers out there, all the people listening to Spotify and the podcast services around the world, we're about 200 behind on Twitter. It's like people don't enjoy Twitter for some reason. But that is where we post our probably most... not news stories, but the stuff we drop, it goes on there pretty much first and foremost. So if you want to be kept in the loop the most, and sometimes YouTube messes with the algorithms and doesn't drop the content at the correct time, check us out on Twitter, because we'll make sure we post it on there to keep you all in the loop with everything Sounds of Stadia. However, some housekeeping to start off with this week, as per usual. We said Tom is back. Welcome back, Tom.
It's good to be back.
We had some more Road to Valhalla. For those who haven't checked it out yet, myself and Richie are playing through Assassin's Creed Odyssey on the Road to Valhalla, waiting for Ubisoft's next titular title in the Assassin's Creed franchise to come out. We're getting deep into it now, Richie. We're deep in Athens, covered in Spartans, testicles everywhere.
Yeah, I was just about to mention, unfortunately, there's no appearance of testicles in this episode.
Not this week. Myself...
Bless his heart.
Rest his soul. Myself jumped into the wonderful July pro game of Monster Boy and the Cursed Kingdom this past Saturday as well, so definitely head over and check that out. Amazing game, by the way. Tom, I know you were quite hyped for it. We've not had a chance to really talk about it yet, but yeah. Loving it. It's Sega Genesis Mega Drive through and through. The music, the art style, the Saturday morning cartoons. It's fantastic. Play it yourself. It's free for everyone who's a pro member out there. Go check it out. Loads of fun. Have either of you two had a chance to jump into it yet? Spend a bit of time?
Not yet. I'm going to play West of Loathing first, and okay. I think I'm actually going to start that after we finish recording today.
Oh, a little treat on a Sunday afternoon?
Yeah.
A little bit of stick action going on.
I had a bit of a chance to play Monster Boy myself. Pretty much... essentially as much as you covered in the first look video, to be honest with you. But yeah, absolutely love it. Very much what I expected, and it's just all around like a good feeling game. Really, it's a bit of a throwback, I suppose, isn't it?
Yeah,
to classic side-scrolling platforming.
Yeah, it's just fun. It's just joyful. Every time you enter a new area, there's some new like upbeat music, and it's just all bright colours. And it's like, don't get me wrong, there's some testing parts. If we ever get around to doing episode 2, there's some like really like puzzles that I don't know whether it was the time of night I recorded it or I just wasn't in the right moment for puzzles, but yeah, I got stuck a couple of times. And then final note is we all got together this Saturday for a different type of stream and time of stream. 1 o'clock this past Saturday. Yeah, we all banded together to learn how to play Crater, which is one of your other free games for this July. We had a blast, right, gents? We played for 3 hours. We made our own little world. We learned to do some coding. We made jump ramps. Richie made giant penis towers made of black marble.
Tower.
Well, it was
an
very
awesome
phallic.
Tower. It was an awesome tower with a tank on top.
With a tank on top.
A lightning tank.
But yeah,
Lightning tank.
And I know we said it on Twitter, but massive thank you to Tom as well. You really did give us a lesson in coding and functions, and I don't feel like I would have had a grasp on the game as I would if we hadn't watched that. So head over to the channel, check that one out. Even if you're just thinking about how to play Creator and you've maybe jumped in and played some of the games, but the creation aspect is maybe a little bit more daunting, we tried to bring you a really good perspective. So I played on the mouse and keyboard, Richie played on the controller, so you can almost, as you go through the video with us, you can see the distinguishing differences between using different inputs. And along the way, Tom held our hand lovingly. And yeah, I definitely feel 100% more confident than I did at the beginning of it.
Yeah, it was fun.
And yeah, I enjoyed it. We made zombies, we made diving boards from wherever, we made paddle platforms, teleportations. So yeah, we'll no doubt get back to it and we'll create something magical as well. But go check that out. And then finally, if you are in the midst of checking things out, head over to our Facebook partnership, which is Stadia UK, facebook.com/groups/Google Stadia UK group. Amazing group of people over there, not just UK necessarily. Nice, pleasant chats along the way, very mature, very respectful audience, and basically wanting to play games with the Stadia players and talk about their games and what they like and their thoughts on them. And so far, we're all getting involved in it. It's great. The chat's constant back and forth, and more importantly, it's very respectful. It's a very respectful group to be in. Nice discourse going back and forward. It's lovely to see. You love to see it. You know what else I love to see, Tom?
Go on.
You tell me.
Me?
You?
Me?
Not Meg.
All right, I thought you were going to just throw something else at that, but apparently we're going to go straight into the super sexy special Stadia Story segment, aka
the news. How does it feel, Tom, having somebody else say it on your behalf last week?
Ooh.
Did it hurt you a little
like
bit?
my moment in the limelight and the spotlight was taken away for a brief period of time there.
Yeah, we were.
I think I've done it twice in the other episodes you missed, but this was someone outside the Sounds of Stadia.
No, it's hard to pretend. We're getting the feelers out there for potential replacements.
Didn't we do it once before on was it when we first appeared on Eddie's show this week on Stadia? We did it then.
Yeah, we all did it collectively, I think.
Yeah.
Which was the first time we realised that doing it over video call with 3 separate inputs just messes everything up.
It's a millisecond delays. It's hard to sync.
Yeah, it's like singing on camera. You could never synchronise that up ever. Not that I'm going to ask you both to sing anymore. But anyway, we've had a busy week in Stadia, but more importantly, this week upcoming, the week commencing Monday when you can listen to this podcast, is it's very top heavy at that end of the week. So come this Sunday, we've got an exciting Ubisoft Forward, Ubisoft's first digital platform, replacing their E3 presence this year. We are going to talk about that later on because this is going to be our predictions episode for that. So we're going to put our tinfoil hats on and see how far we can get, and how far we can get correct, more importantly. We can all guess stuff, but we'll get to that later on the show. For now, though, we want to obviously bring you the news. Top of the list today, gentlemen. We found another game coming to Stadia. Very happy to see this. Sports titles, we've said, are ever present, ever important in the world of gaming and Stadia and keeping the platform viable for the wider audiences out there, your casual gamers. We found out we're getting NBA 2K21 off the back of NBA 20, which we all own, right? Because it was cheap as chips when it came out, when we got the price drop a few weeks back. Now, this particular edition, it's the bringing out with a Mamba edition as well, which obviously the late Kobe Bryant as well. It's kind of in respect of him and his amazing career and everything like that. The game has many editions across many platforms, and 2K basically put out a display. If you've not seen it over on Twitter and stuff, we'll probably put it in just down below here, so you can see what we're talking about. But essentially, they're not teasing the release date for the next gen one. There are a few points I do want to touch on with the two of you gentlemen, though. One is the price. Secondly, is Stadia is currently classed under the current generation banner, and if we'll be getting the game or not. So what do we think, gentlemen? So we'll start at the price then. Current gen on what Stadia's classed as current gen, they've got it down as $59.99 US for the basic edition, and then for the Mamba Forever edition, that's an extra $40. So it's almost double the price. And what you get with that is you get loads of like extra progressive stuff and special edition content, but more importantly, you also get the next gen version included.
Yeah.
So it's a bit of an odd one. There's a couple of companies out there now who some are saying you buy, like Cyberpunk for example said, you buy this generation, you get next ones for free. Xbox have the forward compatibility, and then 2K come out and say, oh, if you buy the more expensive edition, then you get the next gen one included. But if you only buy the basic edition, you don't get the auto upgrade almost. Yeah. Weird, right?
Yeah, the interesting thing about that part is PC is on the current gen version and not on the next gen. Where PC works weird because there's no specific discrete generations. Mm-hmm. So things like you talk about, or Xbox going, oh yeah, you'll upgrade throughout. That's kind of always been the case on PC because you basically have the best version of the game, and then you tone down your settings based on your own hardware. So that one's a bit jumps out.
Yeah, I'm sort of understanding where you're coming from with that, and I think, Chris, this is a point that you wanted to raise with this argument when we get to it. In terms of the price, though, I think compared to a lot of titles that are coming out on towards the end of current gen, moving to next gen, a lot of devs have basically said, if you buy the game on current gen, you will automatically get the version for next gen for free, and so on. This looks like a way of 2K essentially monetizing that right there, and getting there. Trying to make a little bit extra cash, because they know if they weren't to do that they would be missing out on that additional sale come next generation, essentially. So from a business perspective, I sort of understand what they're doing there. Is it greedy? Yes, it is greedy compared to a lot of other devs. But going back to what Richie just said previously about PC being in that category, we can obviously comment as well on Stadia being classed under the current generation sort of bracket, really. And I think while it sends a bit of mixed messaging, I think it's important to remember that at the moment we don't actually know when the PS5 or Series X are coming out yet. So they sort of have to categorize between the two of them, because we have a date for 2K21, September 4th. It's all across the internet now. Yeah. So it's saying that we're getting the version, everybody's getting it, PS4, Xbox One, Switch, PC, Stadia, all on September 4th, but next gen is coming to the end of the year, holiday sort of time right there. So I don't think it's something to get bogged down with, and I'll get your thoughts on that in a second, Chris. But for me, my understanding of that is literally just to differentiate between one absolute, this is a date that the game is coming out, and one, oh yeah, next gen is coming, but we can't say anything more on that, so there you have it.
Yeah, it's a bit, I don't know, it just seems like a bit, there's so many mixed messages coming out of it. For one, they've said the next gen, like the base version, so for example, is $10 more. So no doubt in the UK that means we get the whole £10 extra, no doubt. So already 2K have kind of put the flag on the ground and said the next gen games are essentially going to cost £10 more. Now we've knew for years, I'm one of these who I'm not an advocate because I want stuff to be cheaper, but in terms of the game industry, the game's naturally raising with inflation. It's probably one of the only industries in the world that hasn't been impacted. If you look back to Nintendo 64 games, they were about $60 odd anyway. So for the fact that we've gone 20 plus years and not had that natural rise in price like we have for everything else, it's beggars belief how that's not happened yet. But in terms of breaking the normality, is this putting the flag in the ground and saying any game next gen is going to be $10 more, £10 more by default? A PS5, and Xbox are going to come out and say, yeah, it's that time, it's next gen, gaming is a hobby, it's an expensive hobby, and it's now going to be raised even more so, which is great, I think, for Stadia, because then that entry level price, it feeds into the narrative of Stadia being cheaper entry point. But is this just is this a dark path that we're now on to things gradually creeping up bit by bit, year on year? Do we think?
I wouldn't call it a dark path, because as you said, it's been 20 plus years since
for the consumer
price hike. But even then, I wouldn't say it's a dark. It's probably time, unfortunately, that I think this is. You're right. This isn't going. Okay, next generation games. This is the price of them now going forward.
Yeah.
And the best time to do it is during that generation transition.
Mm-hmm. I'm completely with Richie on that. Yeah. I think, again, if you look historically at the way that the whole model works with consoles and with games being released, the money is made on the games, it's not made on the consoles. And this is sort of an opportunity, I think, now to actually reflect on that missed inflation over time and to sort of start cashing in again on it. I think in the grand scheme of things, if you look across inflation across the world, prices do rise, and I think it is inevitable. It's tying in right with the launch here. I think it's going to be very standard that we see these prices across the board now. And if you compare it to other forms of media, Blu-rays, music and so on, I think you get a lot of longevity out of video games, and I think still, comparatively, value for money is still very good. It just means we've got to shell out a little bit more. But as you say, digital is probably going to be a bit of a boon here, for platforms like Steam, for Stadia definitely, GeForce Now, xCloud, so on. I think we could potentially see lower prices on those platforms compared to the physical media now. So we might see a bit of a change in the mentality of things going forwards there.
Yeah.
I do expect the next generation to be the last one that has physical releases of games.
I still don't think so. I still don't think the internet infrastructure can keep up. I think it'll become lesser and lesser. I definitely think the needle's tipping. It always is, and I think the pandemic now will have definitely set the road to digital well and truly on the path. But I think something physical will be around for a long time, even if it's just in the form of collector's editions. I think it'll still be a thing.
7 or 8 years though.
Oh yeah, exactly. It's a long road.
Like next year or two. So I think in like 7 or 8 years.
Yeah.
I think
Speaking
the PS6 probably will.
Yeah. Speaking of that journey though, that road. What do we feel about Stadia being categorized as current gen and not also in the next gen category? What conversations do we think happen here? Do 2K... Because obviously 2K have worked quite well with Stadia so far. Do they go to Stadia and say, right, we're going to do this poster, we want your name on it. Obviously this is the second iteration of this game we're now bringing out. We've got a next-gen category. What are the rules around this? Is someone who buy... essentially, if we buy 2K21 on Stadia... We know Stadia is always going to have the best version going forward. We're not going to need smart delivery. And we've said this many times on the show before. It's great. It's just forwards compatible 100%. Yeah. At what point does this then transist across to technically we start getting the next gen version, or is this maybe something Google need to announce their next Stadia 2.0 before these announcements are made? It's who I'm wondering who holds the cards at this point in the journey, basically.
Well, I think it's actually probably correct that Stadia is classified as current generation, because if you're seeing the Xbox Series X, PlayStation 5 as the start of the next generation, Stadia's already out. And it's not markedly better in terms of performance than the PlayStation 4 Pro on X. So I do think Stadia right now is a current generation console that can progress into the next generation, but as it is now, and I'm reading this as that's the version of the game you get. Yeah, hopefully, because the Mamba version gets you the upgrade. Hopefully, when the Stadia is improved and can probably handle the new generation version, should still get that. Yeah,
I mean, it does say there's a little caveat on there: offer only available for Xbox and PlayStation console.
Yeah. Okay, I'll take that.
Yeah. So, again, obviously, I've given some of my thoughts on that wording in particular. What I don't like is the fact that they've mentioned in there, built for next gen, unbeatable graphic fidelity, 2-second load speeds, new gameplay features, expanded game modes, and so on. All of that is going to be very much achievable on PC and on Stadia. So I think what we'll see is we will see sort of a migration of the terms PC and Stadia from current gen. They will slide across into that category as it becomes more of a norm once we've got an official release date. What I don't like about this in particular is historically, if we look back on the releases of games to Stadia, the biggest one for me that sticks out is with Elder Scrolls Online. They've not always given us the version that we could possibly have had. So with Elder Scrolls Online, we've actually received at Stadia the console version, which is only capable of outputting 30 frames per second, whereas the PC version, by comparison, can go 60, can excel that point there. So what I'm hoping here is the deal behind the scenes isn't limited to just the current gen version of 2K21, because if we follow that path, again, that's going to get a lot of criticism down the line, really. I do hope that those version differences sort of make an appearance as we go along.
Yeah, it might just be the Stadia architecture, although very powerful, is not quite there to run the next generation version. And it might be the same thing might be with PC, where PCs are very much non-standardized by definition. So maybe they just we'll release the current generation version of the PC because the specs required are probably beyond what they perceive most people having.
I mean, come on, Richie. If you can build a tower that's 65,000 blocks tall and be able to see it from top to bottom with that draw distance, surely it's capable of handling an arena full of basketball players.
Yes, that was genuinely impressive in Creator. I went trying to build a tower as tall as I can and bored because it was taking too long, and I could still see the map at the bottom.
Yeah, very impressive. In terms of the two differentiators in here, for myself, obviously, if they're bringing out the different versions, do we think it's more just, again, that kind of whole porting problem, where no doubt they're going to get the editions that come out on September 4th, and then they're going to obviously knuckle down and work on finalising, polishing the next-gen versions for PS5 and Xbox Series X. Do we then think it's a case of when them versions are finished, then they're going to work on that port to Stadia of the next-gen version to get it to roll out?
Interested to see whether that is just going to be native and just done. So anybody who's purchased the current gen version, whether it's just flat out rolled out into your account, or whether you have to sort of like claim an upgrade or something like that as well.
Because again, like they're asking for $10 more for the next version. So if I have it on Stadia, I think the reason they've not announced it in the next gen column is because there's no way of them getting an extra £10 at this moment in time. Are you going to jump into the 2K version of Stadia and all of a sudden you're going to get a notification saying, if you'd like, what was this quote, Tom? Unbeatable graphic fidelity, 2-second load speeds, new gameplay features, and expanded game modes. Click here to pay £10 to get the upgrade.
No, I don't think people are going to do that, personally. Like, it depends how much of a die-hard basketball fan you are, really. Like, it almost seems just a little bit far-fetched to have that sort of mentality. What I find actually a little bit more far-fetched is, again, looking at the diagram of the releases. If you look at the 2K21 Mamba Forever Edition for next gen, if you actually buy the $99 US version, you actually get the current gen version as well with that, which, fair play, but like, surely you're not going to wait until next gen to buy that version to then go and play on your PS4.
It's like I said, it's such a weird, like, I'll give you one, you give me one.
Unless you get an early version of it, so you get the current gen version immediately.
It's a bit confusion.
Pre-order.
Another point of this topic, obviously, none of us are massive basketball fans. Obviously, we respect Kobe for everything he did for the sport, and he's like obviously an amazing athlete all round. Do we think this is a bit early to plaster him all over a special edition? Like, I know it's obviously in honour of him, but I haven't seen them mention anywhere like the extra money from the game goes to him or his family. And I'd really hope that this isn't just a case of they own his IP rights still and they're using it as a platform to drive sales of the game. Obviously, if it's totally done from a respect standpoint, I'm surprised 2K haven't announced anything along the lines of so much of the proceeds will go towards his family and such.
I'd assume that they've had conversations with his family and like they've got the blessing to do this.
I hope so.
That would, yeah.
And obviously, let us know in the comments if we're wrong. Again, we're not basketball fans, and we don't play NBA 2K. So, just from a business standpoint, I know games sometimes, especially like sports games, get critiqued quite heavily for being microtransaction laden, or like the roster packs or the squads and stuff. And you're paying like FIFA with their goddamn thingy cards, the FUT seasons and stuff. I just hope it's not done from like just a monetary standpoint, especially with him being like, again, how respected he was and he has adoring fans all over the globe. I'd hate to think, just putting him as a poster boy essentially for the sake of it.
I'm reading this just as more of a tribute, because they probably would have had a premium version anyway.
Yeah,
they've probably spoke to his family, got the blessing, and then we'll use that as our tribute to them.
Hopefully it's just down to that.
Hope so. And so NBA 2K coming to Stadia, may cost you a little bit more, may cost you a little bit less. We don't know. Again, Google need to stop hiding behind like the silence of not telling us what goes on to port things to next gen. We don't know, other than like it takes 6 months roughly, we think, to port something to Stadia. How does that impact next gen games? Like, they need to come out with some kind of like behind the scenes message, or like, I don't know, a mini documentary or something of how games that, like, they get the Destiny devs in again and shows how it actually functions, because again, at the moment it's all just guesswork on our part. But either way, we got one thing to look forward to this month, and that was our July Pro games. We've been inundated with another 4, which we were not expecting this month. And Barry writes in to our Patreon page, just like you can, patreon.com/Sounds of Stadia. And he asks, not Barry, sorry, Michael, don't read the wrong question. Barry's question's later. Michael wrote in 2 questions this week. And Michael asks, do you think Stadia Pro was worth it this month? based on the games that we've got. What do you gents think? You've had a chance to play 2 of them?
I've only played 1 of the 4 games, but SteamWorld Dig, it's got a good reputation, so I'll take it. Creator I had a blast with, and effectively it's infinite sort of gaming.
Mm-hmm.
But I haven't played in the other 2, but I am interested in them, so I'd say yes.
I think it's what you make of it, really. For me, Creator is very much worth it. Undoubtedly, the amount of potential that game has is infinite. It's as far as the community will take it. So you can't really put a price on that. The devs have. You can buy it when you haven't got Pro. So there is literally a price on it. But in reality, no. That game is a game that will birth so many ideas and so much potential within the Stadia ecosystem itself, that I think it is sort of like that MasterCard kind of, the advert where it's like, for everything else there's MasterCard, but it is sort of priceless in a way. I think having the exclusivity of Creator on Stadia as well, it really showcases the hardware. It showcases the way that we can now collaboratively design, and you can code games like at the same time as other people. Literally, Chris and I were in the same script editing code. You can't
up the world.
Yeah, you can't do that anywhere else. There is no other platform that does that. Not to the extent where you can actually push the game and literally preview it as you are doing it. There is nothing that exists like that. So for me, Creator is very much sort of as I say, it comes back to this point of it depends what you make of it. If you don't like creating games, or you really don't feel like you have the time or patience to do it, then fine, I understand. It's probably not going to be for you. But people are working on developing games like Battle Royale titles within Creator. They're working on, team deathmatch, first-person shooters, escape rooms. You could just watch our streaming. You could see all the different modes we tried out. We had quite a bit of a blast with it. But, it is a tool given to the community, but anything can be created. So in essence, what you've got there is you've got a package of not one game, but you've got unlimited different games over time. As for West of Loathing, I've heard very good things about it, but like Richie and I believe yourself, Chris, we haven't had a chance to actually try it yet. But I've heard very good things. I've heard you can get a solid 15 to 20 hours of gameplay to run through the story, just to have a laugh with it. And I believe with Monster Boy as well, you probably get around about that same sort of time too.
Yeah, from what I've seen. So would you say just Creator alone is worth this month's Pro subscription, if you're into that kind of game?
If you're into it, again, I think it's very subjective. It's very much down to how you take, how you feel for it. I know a lot of people out there at the moment are very much sort of the opinion of, right, we're getting indies, we're getting too many indies, we're getting so many things, I just don't give a shit about these games. But the reality is you're never going to be able to cater for every single person within the system. There's always going to be people who hate on the games that get released. Oh, we haven't got Call of Duty, we haven't got Battlefield or something like that. So what? You're still getting things for free. If you don't want those games, then just stop paying for it.
Yeah, I suppose nobody
is making you stay.
The thing is, if you want the other side of the Pro, is things like the 4K 5.1 ground set. If you're into that, you're paying for it anyway. The games are a bonus. So I just kind of agree with you there. It's there's more value. You've got more value in the games than you paid. To me, it's good. They might not like some of the games, but you have them.
Yeah. That's the nature of it, isn't it? You see PlayStation Plus and you see Xbox games with gold and stuff, and Nintendo Switch's online pass. Which do they even do anything with that at the moment in time? I feel like it's gone totally radio silent.
NES and SNES games every now and again.
I feel like I don't ever see them actually announce what they are though.
Yeah, you have to go. I don't hear them announcing, but occasionally I'll jump in and you got some new games
to unlock. Yeah. But in terms of that, all those services, you pay for that subscription fee essentially to get the online component. I know PlayStation Plus was once free, once upon a time, way back when. It was an amazing time. But then obviously for the nature of running the servers and such, it costs money, and you are paying to play online. Stadia kind of flips reverses that. You're not paying to play online with other people. You can still just buy a game PUBG or something when it's not obviously free, and you can play it online with nothing else. You can just buy the game without the pro subscription. So you're totally right there, Richie, in saying
there's a few exceptions to that rule, though. I think like Destiny, you have to have a pro subscription if memory serves.
Even if you buy the game though, like just outright, if you buy the game, right, you can play it.
I can't remember. I'm sure
there are editions of Destiny on Stadia that you can purchase to play it without having the pro sub.
Okay.
Yeah.
But one thing I will just say there is, because I know a lot of people within our community do play Destiny quite religiously as well, me being one of them, but not actually having tested it out. While you can buy the games, I'm not 100% sure whether what Richie's saying is true, whether you do actually almost have to have it as a sub to be able to actually log into the game, which is kind of strange.
Is this not just an exception because it came with every version of Stadia there possibly is, and it's like some weird partnership? Because, like, again, the concept of Stadia is if you don't want a sub, you buy the game, you own the game, you play the game. I feel like a caveat, except for on Destiny, seems a bit peculiar. Let us know in the chat. Let us know in the comments. But yeah, so in my opinion, like I was just saying, all the other platforms have these subscription models where you play to be online. You don't necessarily have to do that with Stadia. And I think a lot of people in the community have said it's reinvigorated their passion for trying new things. I, for one, don't think I would have played Monster Boy. I wouldn't have bought West of Loathing. Even just going back like through the last couple of months. Crater, I probably would have appreciated from a distance, like one of those games where I appreciate everything it does. I think the people who spend hours and hours in it and make these amazing concepts come to life, credit to them, more power to you. But the fact that I got it as a pro game encouraged me to jump in with it. And I had a blast. I learned something new. I feel like I learned a little bit about coding and how creating actual games works a bit more. And it was a different type of fun that I had. And I wouldn't have got that if it was just me sitting there going, when does Assassin's Creed Valhalla come out again? When does Cyberpunk come out? I'll wait for those big hitters. So again, it just kind of looks what it's kind of there for what you're looking for. But yeah, you're totally right, Richie. If it's not for you, the great thing with it is just unsub. And if next month it crops up and says, oh, you know what, actually that game does look good, rather than buy it, I'll just resub for the month and I'll try it out and then unsub.
You're not throwing anything away. Like you're not. You know, it's not like, oh, I'm going to go put my Xbox in the garage because it's taking up space. No, it can just sit there. It's literally just this online service that if you don't like what's coming out, fine, cancel your sub. Just wait until something does come out that you want, exactly like Chris just said. Because eventually we are going to get those titles. They are going to come, and people are going to be very happy that they have come. So, you know, if you're not happy with the games that are coming out, then yeah, just cancel that monthly fee and just wait. Like, there's no harm in that.
Yeah, I think Richie, you did it right early doors. I think you said you were going to, and then
I was tempted just to sync up with the rest of my payments. But I think ultimately the answer to the question is not whether we think it's worth it; it's whether you think it's worth it.
Ooh, flip that question back on Michael.
Well, it is. You're getting the set. You're getting these games. If you don't, these games are worth £10.
Yeah, very true.
Then done.
Best thing you can do is educate yourself to what the games are. Yeah. If you've not caught any of the content that any of the Stadia content creators have released with regards to them, go and check it out, because that's definitely where you're going to get the best experience of what it's going to be like, is seeing these like first look videos at certain games and so on. That's how you're going to be able to make that decision, really.
100%. Yeah, if you look at Monster Boy and think, it just looks like a daft kids game, just go check out my video, go check out some other videos, and just honestly, if the first 10-15 minutes don't grab you, then great, you've not lost anything. But speaking of games coming out, Tom, you mentioned there, they are coming. We've had I don't like it when this happens. We get this news, and because we do a podcast, we have to read the news. But I feel like everyone who does all the digging around the ESRB ratings and the PEGI ratings, we kind of get the reveals of the games before they're officially announced. So because we have to talk about it, we need to know about it. And in a way, now we know. So this week we got a PEGI rating on Stadia for Borderlands 2 Game of the Year Edition.
Okay, I'm going to jump in very quickly, Chris. Best Borderlands game by far.
Second.
Yeah, completely. There is no argument whatsoever. Borderlands 2 is by far the best of the Borderlands games. Full stop.
Story or
story?
Everything.
Story, everything. The characters, the story.
One thing I will say the pre-sequel does well, probably in some ways better, is one, you can play as Claptrap, which is awesome. Yep. And two, the low gravity sections are actually really quite fun. But other than that, Borderlands 2 cleans up.
Yeah.
Cleans up. And obviously this is the Game of the Year edition as well, so I presume that means it comes with all the DLC, everything like that, all extra weapons and such. Are we surprised it's only the Borderlands 2? Because I'm right in thinking there is like a Handsome Jack collection, right, which is more bundled in. That's out there.
Yeah, Handsome Jack included I think that comes with the pre-sequel as well.
Yeah, it's 2 in the pre-sequel. For some reason, it never included 1, but Handsome Jack wasn't a character in 1.
No.
Right.
But it feels like 1 was always missing after.
But if you think about Handsome Jack as well, Handsome Jack also featured in Tales of the Borderlands, the Telltale game as well.
Great game.
Again, yeah.
It has other issues.
Yeah.
Regarding Telltale's existence.
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
Loved it though. Absolutely loved the Telltale games. We need them. We need a resurgence of sorts, really. But I am extremely happy because this is where I get frustrated because while I'm pretty much ecstatic for the fact that Borderlands 2 Game of the Year is coming to Stadia, so far as the ESRB are saying it is coming to Stadia, because we haven't had the official announcement, as Chris said before. I have played the absolute shit out of that game.
I can pretty much say I'm not buying this game when it comes to Stadia. I have it on PC and PlayStation 4, and I've played the shit out of it on both of them.
Yeah.
What if it's
I'm
a pro
not
game?
buying it a third time. If it's a pro game, I'll play.
Wait.
But I just can't justify the purchase of it again.
Yeah. Now,
when I already owned it twice.
So I've got a question for you, Richie. So obviously you played through Borderlands 2 originally with your brother, correct?
Yes, on the PC version.
Who you've tried to convince about Stadia a couple of times.
Yeah.
Would this being potentially a free pro game for, say, August, tempt him to jump back in with you on Borderlands 2, do you think? Would this be the tipping point where he's like, shit, that's a good game, and he's saying I can play it on my TV now, Chromecast? No.
Just outright no.
Well,
shut it down. Shut it down. We're done.
No, because he's already got the game.
But what if it's free to trial for a month so you can play it once again with him on the TV?
But he already owns the game on PC, and we have played it together for except PC, so it's unlikely he'd be wanting to jump back in, and he has no need to buy it on Stadia.
We need to see more cross save, more cross play. That's what will solve a lot of these issues. I think if you release something like Borderlands 2 Game of the Year on Stadia as a pro game and it comes for free to everyone, the way you're going to coax people into trying the service is not getting them to start the bloody game again, because it's an old game. It's not new.
Yeah.
Let them pick up their characters and carry on from where they were.
Yeah. The thing with my brother's specific use cases, he's already got a gaming machine, PC. So Stadia is actually not really beneficial to him for how little time he has to game at the moment. You'll never get a controller in that guy's hands. He just does not like game controllers.
Okay.
So that side of it doesn't help. So the only way you get him into Stadia, I think, is when games get to the point where his PC is not good enough, and Stadia is.
One time, the future calls for us all.
Yeah, it's in the future maybe, but I just don't think I'll get convinced of it soon.
Fair enough. Each their own. Back to the argument.
I think what's quite interesting about this ESRB, we won't call them leaks because they're not leaks. This is typically how we seem to be finding out information about games coming before, there are several of them. Another one that I can mention shortly after this, which we haven't got listed as something to discuss, but I'll raise it as a point in a moment. But we've got on there a release date of the 1st of July 2020. Now, obviously, I know they've got to fill that sort of slot in when they get these ratings in place. But essentially, that tells me that this is ready to go. Like, this could very much be one of these things that we see at the Connect, where it's just like, here are games coming to Stadia today. And it's just like, blah, 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 oh, Borderlands 2 flies by.
Tinfoil hat time, I wonder if it is a Handsome collection. But they'll have to, because effectively it's a package of games, they might have to certify them independently.
Perhaps.
So maybe the certification is it's certified for release from the 1st of July. That doesn't necessarily mean that that's when the game is intended to be released.
Yeah, it just means Stadia have it good to go and it's
you
there.
Can release it.
It's your job to then release it. Interesting point you touched on, Tom, with Telltale, which you were just saying there about there's obviously a great back catalogue of games. I think Richie, we probably discussed it on one of the Odyssey streams. The Telltale games in particular, I'd be interested to see how they implement on Stadia. So if I was to play the Telltale game on my Chromecast Ultra without a controller, I'd be curious if they could do some kind of party play, because there's Telltale games in the past you could play on your mobile, and I'm thinking, well, we have the Stadia app already on our phones, So rather than link up the controller, can we not just use the Stadia app as a controller and give it to 4 people in a room in a party scenario, and they can make the decisions in the game collectively?
What's the PlayStation version of that called? For things
So
like
there is
Jackbox
functionality.
and
There is
stuff.
functionality of that already on PlayStation for the. They had a series of games, didn't they? Like
Jackbox and
yeah,
that sort of stuff.
PlayLink.
That's the one.
PlayLink for PS4. Yeah, so it's very much doable through an app, whether it's through a browser, something like that. So it's achievable. It would be nice to see sort of that, like, and then you've got like a group of people in a room, and you can almost like everyone votes on their response, and then after the timer ticks down, it's like, oh well, 3 of you voted for this answer, 2 of you voted for this, so we're going to go with the 3 kind of thing.
Yeah, I think it would work really well.
Bring that sort of stuff to like YouTube integration with Stadia.
Let the crowd vote as we play through Telltale's Walking Dead. You choose if we kill this guy or we don't kill him, and you think I say we don't, and then your entire viewers audience goes, no, kill him, kill the bastard, get rid of him. Like that could be huge.
It is down to the game developers to integrate that into their games. So in previous Telltale games, you'd not get it unless it already exists in the code.
I don't know. The IP and stuff have been picked up by other people now, so we'll see. Anyway, that's just theorising about like future stuff. We've got more games, not from Peggy, but from the ESRB department this time. We got Hello Neighbour, and we got Celeste as well. Was there another one you want to throw in there, Tom, that you've seen, or?
Yeah, we had an announcement from Handy Games, who we've now started to see getting some involvement with Stadia, talking about their new game or their new publishing title coming, One Hand Clapping, which is going to be coming down 2D platformer. So that's another one to look at.
3 more games then, all rated on the ESRB board. Obviously, Celeste, Game of the Year for a lot of players. I think voted for Game of the Year 2018.
Absolutely.
I want to say
Celeste
it was.
won a lot of awards.
Yeah,
on the indie circuit.
Yeah, I think I have it on Switch.
I have, but I never got around to playing it.
Just one of those pairs. Yeah, obviously loads of reviews and ratings, got 10 out of 10. It was kind of like it saw a rise in, I think, indie games that were actually seen more than just like our little tiny like daft platformers and stuff. Like, I think was this one of the first ones to actually tell us like a serious story within the game, and I think like even just the certification says it's alcohol references, fantasy violence, and mild language, just to give you an idea of what it's about.
No, I think indie games have always been known for telling like good stories, but it told it a particularly good way, from what I understand from other reviews and stuff I've read, where the gameplay and the storytelling are all integrated incredibly well into the overarching themes of the game. So there was nothing wasted in that game. Yeah.
It's good to see them coming. Like again, it's just another great grab for Stadia. I think more massive indie titles, and one that got loads of like acclaim, like this one did. It's only going to be more exciting, more titles. Good.
And once we start getting more of these, like these are starting. This is starting to delve into the pot of indie games that people know about. Like Hello Neighbor is a title that is, it's still streamed by quite a lot of YouTube content creators. Celeste, as you said, is a very highly renowned indie title as well, so it's really good to actually see these titles being attracted to the platform now. The publishers actually getting involved with it.
Yeah,
it only speaks good things.
What we predicted before, where some indie games can almost get a second lease of life and discover them,
especially on platforms that don't have the big libraries. We saw it on Switch, where they explode tenfold because people are clambering for games. And you give them and they'll buy them. If we're getting 10 out of 10 Game of the Year games coming across, fantastic. I have my fingers crossed. The developers that make it, Mini Boss, I think they're called, they also did Towerfall Ascension on the PlayStation Xbox, which is a great little couch co-op game where you fire like bow and arrows back and forth. Richie, we've played it loads of times at like house party stuff. Amazing music,
I'm holding out for a couple of roguelikes hitting Stadia. I'm looking for my Dead Cells. I'm looking for my Rogue Legacy. They're great indie titles, really, really good. Binding of Isaac, things like that. Absolutely.
And again, I think those games lend themselves really well to if you want to play on the go, like on mobiles. Like a smaller screen doesn't necessarily benefit or lose anything because it's a compact little platformer. Looking forward to it. More games, more hype. Bring it on. Another little update we got for Stadia this week was the detailed play stats are now available. So have either of you two jumped in on the I think it's only on the desktop version, right?
It is only on desktop at the moment. In the process of talking about this, I am loading up my list right now just so I can list off a couple of them for you. So let's take a look very quickly at a game that, was near and dear to my heart when it came out, Spitlings. I can now see my total playtime, but I can also see that I died 3,149 times while I was playing that game as well. So it just adds a little bit of an extra element to it, doesn't it? Just like, here's some extra information we've been keeping about you and your playing
life
habits.
Your life choices.
In some ways, it's slightly worrying. Like, you can't believe how many times I died in this little game. On the other hand, it's like it's cool that I can see these stats.
Mm-hmm.
I'd like to call out some of the way this is calculated, and maybe this is just a work in progress, because I very quickly switched over to Crater, which, as of the day of recording, has only been out for 4 days for us. It says my total playtime is 28 hours and 36 minutes. However, it says my hours spent crafting were 29 hours, and my hours spent playing were 54 hours. So I sort of want to try and figure out how I've managed to time travel and play more of the game than is actually recorded there.
It may have been edited into your code, like open brackets, time travel, close brackets, 1 hour function, whatever it is.
Maybe there's flaws in the algorithm.
Perhaps.
We've seen on YouTube, it's sometimes it takes days.
Of course.
Yeah, very true. It may be trying to calculate dead time where you're not actually moving out of it, maybe, because we've all left the controller and gone and made a sandwich and so and came back and it's added that time up, but it's not true game time.
I've got over 1,000 hours of Age of 14 because I went for a week and left my PC on by accident.
Oof,
that'll do it.
Nice.
And the game was loaded.
20,000 seasons have passed. All the players have died. There's no one left there. It
was just static screen.
Yeah.
Oh, at least it wasn't on sim and you came back and it was like the year 3,500.
The clubs...
And Michael Owen is still playing for Liverpool.
The club's collapsed in on itself through financial burden. Cyberpunk 2077 isn't even out yet still. And everything else that comes with it. But yeah, it's great to see more games. Just to be clear for our viewers and audience out there, where do they go to get these stats? Tom, you've just done it there.
So in order to do that, you need to, as Chris said before, you need to go into Stadia on your desktop computer. So you want to head up to your friends list. So click the little friends icon there. Click on your profile picture, down to achievements, and select any of your games from the achievement list, and you'll see it within the achievements section. Again, it's not the most user friendly to navigate to and find. I think this is something that the team are working on behind the scenes, but it is something you can find if you dig deep enough. And not only that, it's actually quite important to note at this stage that this isn't a new feature. This has actually been coded in for quite some time. It's just never been accessible in terms of any of us really being able to just click through a menu to find it, because it has been dug out of the source before it has been located. There are ways of finding it through using, scripting and digging through the code, but now it is accessible to the general user.
Definitely. But exciting, more statistics, all the better. If you want to open up your own achievements and have a look at them and get a shock of how much time you spent playing a particular game, do it at your own risk, ladies and gentlemen. But we've reached that time of the show. That is it for the news. We can now look forward, put our tinfoil hats on. It's that time, everybody, where we're going to sit down and we're going to make some predictions about this upcoming week's Ubisoft Forward, the first digital event taking its place in light of E3 being cancelled, suspended, everyone going digital, doing their own thing. Ubisoft came out a little bit later than the rest of the party, if you ask me. It seems like we've been waiting ages for these announcements. You can check it out with us live, actually. We're going to be doing a live reaction to it next Sunday. So if you're listening to this on the podcast week, as per usual, you've still got time. Don't panic. This Sunday, it's 8 p.m. UK time. If you're one of our fans over in North America, it's 12 p.m. Pacific. You've got 3 p.m. Eastern and 2 p.m. Central as well. There is a time there that's MDT. Tom, you lived in America. What the hell is MDT?
That's Mountain Daylight Time, Chris.
Mountain Daylight.
Mountain. Yeah, so it's sort of like when you've got
live in caves.
Yeah. So MDT comes out as
it's 1 p.m. I've got it here. 1 p.m. for them.
Yeah.
But why do the mountains get their own time? Because you got to
You
go
know,
up higher.
how wide America is as a
Yeah,
continent.
it's essentially, it's sort of like, when you sort of hit that Midwestern strip, so you've got like Arizona, Colorado, Idaho, that sort of strip that runs down there. Sort of like the west of Texas that runs.
Right.
Yeah.
But interesting that they go for mountain time. It might be because it's usually people stick to Central and then like work around
Yeah,
Central.
and that's what I've only
time,
ever
but-
seen, like Eastern, Pacific,
I've had
Central.
Pacific, Eastern, and Central, the ones that you usually get.
Yeah, yeah. Pacific Mountain is.
Oh, well.
Maybe it's the least populous or something.
Maybe. So all those mountain people out there, tune in for us 1 p.m. Mountain Time, 8 p.m. UK time, British Standard that is, and 9 p.m. for everyone over in Europe as well if you are joining in. Joining in? Joining in. Because obviously we love our Spanish audience, our French and German, and everyone Scandinavia as well, and all those other people who live under the glorious sun that we have. However, let's get to some predictions, lads. Who would like to go first? How do we want to structure this time around?
Right. Well, my first. No. I'm not going to jump in and name a game at this point, but I feel as we are now looking at a publisher / dev studio, we have to be a little bit more careful in terms of calling things out because there's not going to be as many titles to pick from, whereas a Connect or an E3 or something like that, you're going to have a far bigger scope, aren't you, really? Mm-hmm. So I think we're all in agreement that we're not going to, mind you, I'm thinking about the Connect here. Where I'm trying to come from with this is how are we sort of gauging things about stepping on each other's toes? Because I know for a fact one title that is absolutely guaranteed to be announced at this, and I feel like we're all going to call it out.
Yeah, we should probably say anything that's 100% the kind of. I know we're like next week is going to be our Connect predictions episode.
Yes,
but we all know Apex Legends is coming, right? So that's not. We're not going to be able to take points from going, I think Apex Legends is going to come. No shit, we know it is because he messed up at the live event. Yeah. For this one in particular, me and Richie had a look at it. Tom, I presume you've seen it. I'm going to put it on the table. Hyperscape, that's a thing. Okay. Like, surely that's coming to Stadia, right? You can't have every Ubisoft game with Uplay Plus when that comes and not have their newest Battle Royale game, right? So no one...
your prediction...
No one can have points for Hyperscape. It's a given, right?
Right. I was about to say, is this your prediction that Hyperscape is?
No, I think it's like, isn't it that? I don't know. Is that just me? I just thought it's a definite shoe-in.
I mean, it's a shoe-in. I think it's a shoe-in. B's there, whether it comes to Stadia or not, it's different.
Well, that's it. Are we talking about? We're not talking about Stadia. We're just talking about
Ubisoft.
Just Ubisoft. So we know it's going to be there, right?
Right. So should we take Hyperscape off the table?
That's what I'm suggesting. Was that yours, Tom? Was that what you were getting at?
No, it's not actually. It's not even the game I was thinking about. Yeah. So I'm going to now jump in and take that because clearly it's not what we're all thinking.
Hyperscape's off the table. We'll use that as
an
example.
All right. I'm going to steal the big one then. Far Cry 6. There you go.
Oh, okay. Okay.
It is. I have such high I'm so certain. I'm so certain to the point that I think the actual background from the Ubisoft Forward logo, sort of like banner, is going to become the Far Cry 6 sort of image or unfold to become that image. That's how confident I feel about it.
Okay.
Far Cry 6.
Do you want to make any further guesses as to where it's going to be set? Because obviously we had Montana was the last one. We've had obviously the Middle East and stuff not Middle East, you know what I mean? Where do we think? Is it going to be in London?
It's definitely mountainous. It's definitely sort of like
Mountain time.
Mountain time. We're getting even more tinfoil here now and saying it's mountain time. We've got that image. Far Cry 6. Is it going to be set in the mountainous regions? But then I'd be thinking Montana, and then it's no.
Done that.
We can't do that. No, I'm at a loss at that point.
Okay.
Who knows where it's
have you heard the rumor who may be the antagonist in the game? If it's a real gun. So it's one Giancarlo Esposito or Gus Fring from Breaking Bad. Also the who is he? The Mandalorian again?
Moff Gideon.
Moff Gideon, that's the one.
Gideon.
And he apparently said this week in an interview he's been doing some really, really interesting voice work stuff for a big title game coming up. And then the rumour is I think he'd be a brilliant villain in Far Cry. Like Pagan Min was Troy Baker, and I think he was probably the highlight since Far Cry 3. He'd definitely make an interesting antagonist. Where would it be set? I personally would love them to double down, do a full-on proper Blood Dragon game. because the Far Cry Blood Dragon was brilliant and it didn't have a platinum trophy and it was quite short in comparison. It had the guy who played Kyle Reese from Terminator do the voice for the main character, and it was a great laugh. Tyrannosaurus Rexes with laser beams shooting out the mouth. What more do you want? Neon lights, 80s synth pop music. We all love Wave Break for that. Do it.
So is your prediction, Chris, Far Cry Blood Dragon 2?
No, not quite. No. One of my. Are we going in any particular order? Or is this a group effort or?
Tom's got Far Cry 6 to be there down.
Right.
So
Okay.
you need to go next.
All right.
So I'll let you go.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah.
Right. Well, I feel like Tom's pulling out the bag with a big one. So rather than beat around the bush with ones I think we are definitely going to see, I'm gonna go with Prince of Persia announced.
What?
That's what I'd like to see. I think it's been a long enough time.
New game or
new game. I think with the success they've had from rejuvenating Assassin's Creed, and I think there's other titles they could do, but I honestly think it's probably about that time where I think time travel. No other game really does time travel, so I think they could definitely incorporate time travel into a modern AAA title in some way, shape, or form, and they have that IP. So do it, Ubisoft, you cowards. That's mine.
Okay, so I'm going to go. I don't actually. I have one that I think is okay, but I don't know. It might have been in the. I haven't sort of missed it. So I'm going to shelve that one. I'm going to go with Assassin's Creed Valhalla. Will be day and date with PlayStation 5 and Xbox Series X.
Okay. I like that. You've not just gone with like
something
like.
Assassin's Creed Valhalla is that's too sick.
I was going to say because we know they're going to show Valhalla gameplay, right?
Yes, it will
like,
be. It will.
They would be crucified if they didn't show actual gameplay this time.
Not after the debacle of before.
Xbox.
Here's some actual in-game footage, cutscenes.
yeah, exactly. Okay, Richie.
All right, back to me then. Ooh. I think we finally get Watch Dogs Legion. I think we finally get it. It's been so long.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like it's just gone on and it's just become sort of like push back and push back and push back and push back and push back. I think we get
my other ones that I had.
I think we get Watch Dogs Legion. I think we finally get an official date.
We had one.
Yes, I know. We've had. I feel like we've had several, but we now get a commitment to a date where they say, right, okay, here we go. Watch Dogs Legion. It is done. It is ready. It has been for about 6 months now.
Yeah, it's been in the freezer. We'll get it out for you. So, question for you then, Tom. Do you think it's coming this year or next year? Would you like to stake a claim on a particular time frame?
Yeah, I'm going to say November 2020. I'm going to say that it's ready to go this year. Holiday season, it is ready to go. As Richie said before, pretty much released with new console.
Do you
with
think
next gen.
With next gen as well?
Whether it'll be optimized for next gen is a good question though, because it feels like it's been in development for such a time.
Yeah, is it like too far back now to?
This is one that I had, and it had a day and date with similar Assassin's Creed. Because I'm wondering, is the delays because they've made the decision to switch it over to next gen?
Perhaps.
Yeah, that was the big theory, wasn't it? Is because of the mess ups and stuff, and then pandemic and stuff.
Which also explains why we don't have a date.
Yeah.
It's sort of I feel like it went very quiet on that front though as well. Watch Dogs Legion. We sort of knew it was coming, then it wasn't coming.
Yeah. Well, we got.
And then
YouTube.
we heard nothing.
Like, well, there was ads and everything, right? I remember seeing like full-length ads and previews and people talking about being able to play.
There was gameplay.
Yeah,
footage.
like people talking.
There was actual gameplay footage.
Yeah, like playing as the granny and recruiting people and doing this and all the cyber warfare in London and. Yeah, I mean, we were weeks out from it, right? And then it all just got knocked on the head. Okay, cool. Whose turn is it now? How do we do this fairly? Where we go back? It's mine again, is it?
We'll just keep going around the same order.
All right. Again, no one's really a loser in this scenario. One of us may get a pizza or not. We'll soon find out. Okay.
Now there's a pizza on the table.
Oh, now it's all serious.
There was always a pizza on the table.
Okay, so my next one, I'm going with. We're going to see more of Rainbow Six Quarantine. However, my caveat to it is we get a date for it. But I also think they've got to change the name from Quarantine. because I don't think it's fitting right now. And trying to again, we know it's not impacted The Last of Us. Evidently, we know it didn't really have a big impact on Resident Evil 3. But I feel like a name like Quarantine, maybe I think because it's not out and they don't have a date for it, it would seem clever, or from a business standpoint, to maybe rejuvenate a little bit. So
yeah, I agree. I think with Last of Us, one thing we have to remember it. Things like Quarantine and Lockdown aren't in the name of the game.
Yeah, I think it's a big difference between on boxes, on shelves.
It's an established franchise anyway.
Yeah, agreed. So that's mine. Rainbow Six Quarantine, or formerly known, the artist formerly known as Rainbow Six Quarantine. So we get a date and a new name for it. Yeah, and I'm excited to see it as well. More importantly.
Yeah, I'm going to give myself an easy one. I'm going to go Just Dance 2021.
Damn you! I was literally thinking Just Dance. I was like, that's a guarantee.
You need to put it down then, Richie. Do you think it's coming to the Wii or not?
No.
No, you think this is the first year?
Yeah, I think it's time.
I still think it will. For some weird, there's that many people. I think
Wii.
Last year's did.
Yeah, I know, but
which is crazy enough in its own. So why wouldn't it?
You've got to put the final nail in that coffin at some point. Yeah, like, you've got to.
Well, the Wii's outlived the Wii U.
The install bits. No, I've looked in for no Wii, but I now think it will be there.
It's like releasing it on the bloody Genesis.
Yeah, but because the install bit, if the Wii can run the game, and it's got the install base, and they'll be going off this year's sales, why not release it there?
Again, if you think, again, for me, it's the format it is. It's got the Wii nunchucky things. You've got the PlayStation Move thing. Like, that's the bet. Like, when you play it on Stadia, don't you have to use your phone? Is the microphone or the dance stick or something? That's how it gets you.
I think you use it as a camera, and it recognizes, like, an algorithm actually detects your body movements. Right. Sort of like if you think about the depth of field with Kinect and so on. That sort of technology there. Man, wow. On the Wii.
So, Richie, you going, it's not coming for the Wii.
It's not coming for the Wii, actually.
Crisp 480p.
I think it's probably at the point where, because this will be next generation, it'll be cross-generation, I think it's probably got to the point where the Wii won't be able to support it anymore.
Okay. So, I don't think graphically it's that impressive anyway, so it's just like silhouettes of
neon
people.
The dance moves are a little bit too detailed this time.
Okay, interesting.
You've put me back on. Okay, all right. I'm gonna give a shout out to a classic here. I think we might see a new Rayman game. I think we might get a Rayman game. I would love to see a brand new Rayman game, traditional style as well. It would be so sweet right now. We're still going through this wave of nostalgia and looking back on like titles that have sort of, really been with us near and dear to our hearts. Like if you think about how successful Sonic Mania was, and you look at what they're doing with, there's the rumors out that they're revitalizing all of the classic Mario games, the 3D Mario titles and so on. Surely now is the time to bring Rayman back to the forefront and be like, right, come on. You guys on PlayStation, you absolutely loved this guy when it came out. PS1, PS2, like let's get him in. Let's get him in for next gen. Let's go.
He's their mascot, right? He's like aside from all like the human characters they have, he's the one like animated guy that can put up with in my childhood anyway. Crash Bandicoot, Spyro, Sonic, Mario. Rayman was one of them. Cool.
Absolutely.
So before we go any further, how many predictions are we making each?
Man, that's how we run out.
Made 3.
Till we run out. Let's get them all out. Let's show all of our cards.
Wow.
whose goes it then? So Tom stole my Rayman one. Mine. Got that one. Okay. I also think we're going to see Skull and Bones. But just like Quarantine, I suspect we may get a new name for it. I've actually put Skull and Bones, new name, and single player. I think they're going to announce some kind of single player because I think the biggest kickback it got from its first reveal was that it was just it's just boats online. That's it. It's just online with friends, and I think everyone was hoping online boats. But everyone was expecting like a new iteration of Black Flag. When they revealed it, it was like, oh, it's going to be like Black Flag spin-off. And then it kind of was, but without the pirate story. I want to play as a pirate. I want to see this like scallywags and scurvy and stuff like that and swinging on ropes. I don't want to just sail a ship. Like, it's a fun element of the Assassin's Creed games, but it's by far not the best. So yeah, give me Skull and Bones with a new name and single player story. Ubisoft, please.
Right. Okay.
I'm going to go bold on my next one.
Ooh.
The last game in this franchise was released in 2013, and it's kind of a franchise. So I think there's people clamoring for it. So I'm going to predict this as the One More Thing.
Yeah.
It's not going to be formally named.
Okay.
But you're just going to see the goggles.
That's what I was doing. That's what I was doing.
Are you gonna get that noise as well? Like the
yeah. That's all you. That's all you're gonna get. And then well, no, I'm gonna say the titles card's gonna come like a 2022 release or something.
Okay.
But I think it's time for the return of Splinter Cell.
I think we are missing almost like one of those stealth heavy games at the moment as well. We've obviously got Hitman. We've had Hitman 3. Is it Hitman 3? Yeah, 2. Hitman 3.
Announced. Sorry, yeah, 3's been announced.
Yeah. Sorry, yeah. So, and we've obviously not. We're not going to see any more Metal Gear games. So, I think there is a spot for that there. So, decent shout.
If you think about it, if they open their show with some actual gameplay footage of Assassin's Creed Valhalla and end on the Splinter Cell reveal,
yeah,
you got 2 big hype moments to bookmark your show.
Okay.
And a lot of fun stuff in between as well. If we get this right.
I think I have 2 more in my bag of tricks, but one of them is relatively safe, and one of them I'm not really sure whether to go with. So I'm going to go with the relatively safe one, depending on how you gents feel about this one. I'm going to make quite a regimented statement about what I expect to see with this one, though. As in, like, there's going to be quite a bit of detail to come with it. So, I think we are going to get Gods and Monsters. I think we're going to get a name change to Gods and Monsters. I think we are going to see box art and collector's art and a title for it. So, Gods and Monsters, release date reveal, new name, and collector's edition showing off what comes with it. So, essentially, like the box... you get the gist. The box art, etc.
Well, actually, it's weird because I actually had Gods and Monsters down on my not expecting to see anything list.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, I don't know why. I almost feel like they probably want to distance themselves a little bit before they bring it back. But I don't know why. I was thinking about it. I was like, I'm not expecting anything.
I feel like it's a safe one. I feel like it's coming this year, so they have to do something with it. Yeah, it's still down for 2020.
Tom, do you think with a name change they're going to change it to Orpheus?
I feel like if they were going to go to Orpheus,
Orpheus is the project title, not a game title.
Yeah, I feel like it's
when
Orpheus
everyone jumped and played it on Stadia for a first look the other week, that's what it was down as for a purchase.
I feel like Gods and Monsters is almost like I don't know. I don't feel like it's the final title for it.
Yeah, I think Gods and Monsters is a working title for the game. Orpheus was the name of the project, probably that they came up with when they first started, before they had a full concept of what the game is. But yeah,
I don't think. No.
The name Gods and Monsters sounds just a bit generic.
It doesn't stick out really. It doesn't stick out as a title that's going to have a lot.
It sounds distinctly double A.
Yeah, generic.
Yeah.
Well, with if you do a quick Google search for Orpheus, there's the famed ancient legend of Orpheus, and it says Eurydice. I want to say it looks like a love story, fateful love of Orpheus for the beautiful Eurydice. Orpheus was the son of Apollo, and the blah 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 blah. Wonder if it's going to be called Eurydice then, Tom. That's the name that'll sell copies, right? Either way, it looks like the plot's got something to do with beasts and monsters, evidently. Any more, Richie?
It's your turn.
Is it? Oh well, okay. Yeah. Trying to buy some time there.
Like I said, I've got one more. I think I could pull out here.
If I was to think about their catalog, I think the one thing Ubisoft have done frequently over like many years now is they've got quite a good like little indie team working on stuff. So I think we'll definitely see an indie title or two. There's only one I think I'd like to put a stake a name to. I'd like to see a Valiant Hearts 2. So if anyone ever played the first Valiant Hearts, the first one was brilliant. Like, so it told a great story through World War One. You had like a little pet dog and gas masks and stuff. It was like a little puzzle platformer. Very touching story through World War One, through the Somme and everything, and soldiers getting taken away and all that. It was very touching. Really enjoyed it, and I think I could see them maybe dipping back into that independent pot and like getting one of the smaller studios, a bit like EA Originals, to do something. So yeah, I don't really know. I'd like to see Valiant Hearts 2, but I feel like it might just be a new creative title from like a smaller team. So put me down for an indie game of something, Richie.
All right, so a new indie game. Are you going with Valiant Hearts, or are you going a new indie game?
I'd like to see it, but I don't know if it like a sequel is necessary for that particular story. It's been that long now. I think we've passed it. So just unnamed indie game.
Do you want to go sequel to an indie game, or
nah? Because I can't think of any others.
all right, a new indie game.
Indie game.
It seems like a very safe bet.
Well,
by the way, Ubisoft are going to announce a new game.
An indie game
So,
on the scale of
Chris has
Valiant
1
Hearts.
point already.
Well, but to be fair, my other ones are quite. I've got name changes for everything, and in a Prince of Persia game that could be quite out there.
Yeah. Right, Richie, it's on you now, mate. It's on you.
Okay. So I'll do mine, and we'll just, I think, one more round.
Yeah, one more
You said
round.
you had one more.
I got
that gives
one
a nice
more.
5 each. Beyond Good and Evil.
Oh wow! I would
been a
love
while,
that. Yeah, I would
And it's
love
time.
that.
It's time to go to remind people that it's coming.
Wow.
I'm just going to say it's going to be there in some form.
I think it's going to be a no-show. Right.
If it's a
A
no-show,
man
I
can
think the game's
dream.
done.
A man can dream.
I think
Yeah.
if it's a no-show, that game has been canned. But the fact that it hasn't been canned, formally been canned, I think, especially with was about entering a new generation, maybe the reason it's been a bit of a no-show for a while is because they decided with the time, adjusted timelines, that it was going to go to the next generation. So
Fair.
let's just push it back.
Fair.
Oh yeah, Beyond Good and Evil.
Right. I've actually just thought of another one, but I'm not going to go with that because I feel like I feel like I need to play a risky card here. I'm going to play a risky one now.
So Risk.
Not risk.
We got Monopoly.
I'm going to say that I don't know how they're going to do this, considering the actual content of the game. But I'm going to say For Honor 2. So For Honor, but a second For Honor. So I feel like it's been out for a while now. Either it's I'm gonna go out and call a sequel as opposed to releasing or developing it for next gen. I'm just gonna go ahead and I'm just gonna say, right, they're just gonna literally say, right, we're gonna create a new For Honor game, For Honor 2, and it's gonna come out sometime in 2021, winter 21 probably, end of the year.
Holiday.
Yeah, holiday 21.
Okay.
Or Q4, it'll be Q4, wouldn't it? Q4 2021.
Yeah, they love going off financial years, Ubisoft, don't they?
Yeah. But yeah, For Honor 2, and I'm going to call a wrap on my predictions at that point there.
Okay.
See, all that's a prediction.
That's it. Who's last prediction? I've got one more.
Yeah, you've got one more. Me.
You've got one more.
Me,
I got my 5.
Let's quick. Let's have a look. What games? Okay, so mine's got a caveat that my caveat is that there is going to be an announcement, from Ubisoft, but I don't think we're going to hear about it until 2 days later at the Google Connect. So if I can kind of,
I know where he's going now.
But the reason being is I think. As part of one of my Connect predictions, I'll put it out there. You guys can think on it until next week. I think Ubisoft are going to partner with Stadia and make an exclusive Stadia game, similar to how they did with the Rabbids and Nintendo Switch. Ooh. So I think they're going to tease something potentially at the Ubisoft Forward, and then 2 days later at the Google Connect, the Stadia Connect, they're going to announce that we've had a great partnership so far, which they have. Undoubtedly, Ubisoft are Stadia's biggest supporters, and we know they're willing to do exclusives with their studios, a la Rabbids on Switch and Mario and the Rabbids. They're going to commission Ubisoft to make an exclusive game for Stadia.
That was not the one I was expecting you to say there, but okay.
No, I think you were thinking about Uplay when you talk.
Yeah.
That's where I was thinking. But
Yeah, I was thinking
it's not what I'm going with. I'm going to go with.
He's going
it's
bold.
It's a part of 2 games with a third game announced.
All right.
So we're going to see Fractured But Whole Stick of Truth port to Stadia, and a third game announced in the series.
So this is for the Forward, yeah?
Bold as you can get.
Oh wow, yeah.
They may not all be at the Forward, but there will be maybe. I think the announcement potentially for the port could be in the Forward, and the third could be at the Connect. So I'll stick it as Fracture But Whole ports.
What are the chances we all just get 1 point each, like we did at the last predictions?
I feel like there are some very safe ones in there. Like I am so certain Far Cry 6 is going to be there. I think we're going to get more info on Rainbow Six Quarantine, and I think Just Dance 2021 is literally like they are no-brainers to me, really.
Right. Should we quickly recap everyone's predictions?
Yeah, we'll read them out ourselves. I'll go first. Right. So I've gone for a Prince of Persia new game. I've gone for Rainbow Six Quarantine getting a date and a new name. I've also gone for Skull and Bones getting a new name and some single player story. I don't think we'll find out when it's coming out, but yeah, new name and single player. A new indie game, hoping for Valiant Hearts. Actually, now I'm thinking a little bit, I think we might get a Child of Light 2 as well. Possibly. It's one of the two of those. And then finally my kind of interstitial one, which is relying on what we see 2 days later, which is the Stadia exclusive game made by Ubisoft, just like Rabbids. It won't be Rabbids, by the way, I just want to make that clear. Them coming over to Stadia. Tom?
In my wheelhouse, I've got Far Cry 6, which I feel is probably, in my opinion, of all the ones that we've discussed today, I feel that's probably the safest one of all, in my personal opinion, because it's often been alluded to as being like the only unannounced title from this sort of fiscal year for Ubisoft, really. Watch Dogs Legion, we're going to get a date for it. I reckon it's going to be November 2020. A new Rayman game. Gods and Monsters is going to get a name change. We're going to see the box art and we're going to see the collector's edition and everything that's included with it. I would throw out there as well that I also mentioned the date as well. I think we get a date for it. And For Honor 2.
For me, Assassin's Creed Valhalla will become a day and date with PS5 and Xbox Series X. Doesn't necessarily mean we'll get the date, but we'll get that announcement. Just Dance 2020 will not be coming to the Wii. The return of Splinter Cell as the one more thing. I give myself these stupid caveats that are going to bite me in the ass. Beyond Good and Evil makes its return. We get South Park to Stadia.
Right.
It's like saying I'm gonna go to the shop to buy a can of like a tin of tomatoes, but only if it's the last one there.
It's so with Splinter Cell, it's so easy to be a simple hype moment, like to end off your show.
Yeah.
I would just like to point out though, Richie, you've already lost a point. Because you just said out loud there, Just Dance 2020 will not come to Wii. I want it known that it is already out on the Wii.
This is a roundup. We've already made the predictions.
Okay.
Nobody loses points.
That's true. Well, I mean, he's thrown one away by just saying the wrong year.
Thrown it away.
And we'll add in Barry's as well. So I allude to area Barry from our Patreon page, wrote in patreon.com/Sounds of Stadia, just like you can with your questions for the show. He thinks we'll see a firm release date for Rainbow Six Quarantine, Watch Dogs Legions, Assassin's Creed Valhalla, and of course the next Just Dance game, 2021, Richie. Then beyond that, he says a fresh look at Gods and Monsters, an announcement of a new Rayman title for 2021, so he's also on that track with you, Tom. An update of Skull and Bones, and then we'll end with a Far Cry 6 trailer ahead of a 2021 presumably release. He says probably some safe bets, but hey, what are you going to do?
Exactly.
And good shouts in there, Barry. So thank you for writing into the show. Both Barry and Michael wrote in this week. Thank you. That is it for our predictions. It's another longer episode, but we love bringing you longer episodes, especially when they're so juicy, full of tinfoil hat moments like this one.
We need to actually make some tinfoil hats.
We do. We actually need to come with full like Assassin's Creed Valhalla tinfoil. Take a game and make your tinfoil hat catered around the title which we've gone for.
Nice.
But yeah, some big games, and I think collectively across the board we said we're going to see Hyperscape, of course, because it got leaked in Showcase this week anyway, so it's going to be there. But don't forget to join us on Sunday, the 14th, I want to say, gents. Keep me straight. Is it the 14th?
Sunday the 12th.
So
Sunday
it wasn't
the 12th.
Oh, sorry, 14th is the Connect. Join us.
Yes.
Well, join us for that as well. We'll be reacting to that live, but we'll tell you that next week. Sunday the 12th, 8 PM UK time. Don't forget, 12 PM Pacific. 3 p.m. Eastern, 2 p.m. Central, and if you're living in the mountains, 1 o'clock in the afternoon. Join us for our reactions. Thank you very much for tuning in this week as we give you the news and our predictions for this event. We're very excited, very hyped if you can't tell. Ubisoft, in my opinion, have one of the best catalogue of IP out there as third-party developers. Super excited to see what they say. But thank you very much for listening, everyone, to another super episode of the Sounds of Stadia podcast, episode 41, in fact. We'll see you next week for 42. My name's been Chris.
I've been Tom.
I've been Richie.
We've been Sounds of Stadia. Thank you for watching. Take care. Have a good week. Bye.
Bye.